Hey party people, it's Lycona Dacheechee and welcome to the EzPz guide for the Minstrel's Ballad, Hydaelyn's Call, also known as Hydaelyn EX. First we place our markers down like this. We'll need to form two healer groups consisting of a tank, a healer, and two DPS. We'll also need to choose clock positions for the party, which is not necessary, but it helps out with a few spread mechanics later in the fight. First, pull Hydaelyn into the middle and she'll cast Hero's Radiance, which is a raid-wide AoE. She'll then cast Shining Saber, where she'll jump to the closest party member and slam down a shared AoE, so everyone in the party should just group up together. She'll then cast Crystallize, which is one of the main mechanics of this fight. It's a generic ability where she'll charge up with an element and then do a mechanic. She can choose from one of three elements as well as one of three mechanics. You'll always want to dodge the AoE mechanics first and then handle the elements afterwards. Let's go over each dodge mechanic and element so we understand what to do when they come up. For the elements, Earth is a party stack, usually taken under or behind the boss. For water, you'll want to split up into your healer groups, as each healer will get a water AoE on them. And for ice, everyone will get their own AoE, so spread out away from each other, preferably around your clock positions. For her dodge mechanics, she'll cast these floaty crystals that rotate around her. A red potion-shaped icon is a donut AoE, so get under her to dodge that. The green staff is a regular AoE coming from the boss, so dodge away from her. And the blue sword is a plus symbol AoE, so you want to get on her diagonals or intercardinals to dodge that. Now that you know what element and what mechanic to look out for, just remember whenever she casts Crystallize, pay attention to her animations and react to them as they come out. One thing I did notice while making this guide, but not in our clear runs, is that depending on which weapon Hydaelyn has out will determine the mechanics that come out next after Crystallize. If she has her mage staff out, she'll cast Magos' Radiance, which is a party-wide AoE. And if she has her Chakrums out, she'll cast Mousa's Scorn, which is a tank buster where both tanks should stack together. Next, she'll cast either side AoE cleaves or a forward and back cleave. Aureole is the front and back cleave AoE, so dodge to either side of her. And Lateral Aureole is her side AoEs, so dodge to either the front or the back. Another Crystallize comes out, followed by another Aureole, and then she'll cast the final Crystallize before going to the add phase. Hydaelyn will soon become untargetable and jump to the center of the stage. She'll then spawn 2 adds and 6 crystals. Each tank should pick up their own add, and also note that these adds will tether to any crystals that are near them. 3 of the 6 crystals next to each other will start shooting light pillars into the sky. Our group starts DPS'd on the leftmost crystals with the light pillar looking at the edge of the stage from the middle, or clockwise from the middle. At the same time, the tanks will need to pull their adds away from the crystals with the light pillars towards the opposite end of the stage. Make sure that the adds tethers are not connecting to those crystals with the light pillars. After the DPS kills the first crystal, rotate clockwise to the next one, while tanks on the opposite side will also rotate clockwise with their adds as well. Do this until all the crystals are killed and then kill off the adds. Damaging the crystals damages the adds' health, so don't worry about the adds until the crystals have been killed off. After the adds are killed off, get back into the middle for a transitional raid-wide AoE. Now it's time to begin the final phase. Hydaelyn will then cast Halo, which is another raid-wide AoE. Then she'll cast Lightwave. For this first Lightwave mechanic, she'll spawn 2 giant Lightwaves at the north and 4 crystals, 3 on the north side of the stage and 1 crystal to the south. The light waves can appear in 2 patterns, either on the left or on the right. They will slowly travel across the stage in a straight line in the direction that they have spawned. Whenever a wave hits the crystal will explode. In order to hide from the crystal explosions, we need to hide behind another crystal using line of sight. Whichever light wave pattern appears at the north, be it on the left or the right side, completing this mechanic is the same. You're just doing it on opposite sides. First, the party should make their way to the crystal where the light waves won't hit, either on the left or the rightmost crystal. In this case, it's on our left. Next, line of sight the middle crystal here, since that's the one that will explode first when the light wave hits it. Then, scooch over a bit to dodge the second crystal that explodes from here, and once that goes off, Hydaelyn will cast Infralateral Arc, in which she'll throw out 3 directional AoE cleaves that will target the role groups in the party. 1 for the tanks, 1 for the healers, and 1 for the DPS. So after the second crystal explodes, we have the healers stay, the DPS move to the middle crystals, and the tanks move towards the far crystal. Each of the role groups will have to line of sight the south crystal because that explodes while Hydaelyn is cleaving the role groups. After that, come back into the middle again where she'll cast Lightwave again. This time she'll put down 5 crystals in an X pattern, 2 at the north, 1 in the middle, and 2 at the south. Light waves will start to appear at the north on either the left or right side, so take note of which light wave spawned first. At the same time that's happening, Hydaelyn will cast Hero's Glory. All you have to do is get behind her to dodge her front cleave AoE. After that, head back to the middle crystal and get ready to dodge the first crystal explosion by using Line of Sight. The first light wave that spawned will start traveling first, and that means the crystal in its path will explode first. The dodging pattern is always the same. It's just flipped depending on which light wave spawns first, either on the left or the right side. For one of our runs here, we dodge Hero's Glory by getting behind her. Then we move to the center crystal, dodge the first explosion, move over to our right, dodge the second explosion, then go through the crystal to dodge the next explosion, then slightly across to the left. Then Hydaelyn will jump to a spot, get behind her here because she casts Hero's Glory again, which is her front cleave, and you also want to hide behind this last crystal because the middle crystal explodes. After all that, she'll cast Halo again, which is a raid-wide AoE, followed by Hero's Sundering, which is a conal AoE cleave, so everybody stay away from the tank. She'll then cast Shining Saber, so stack up together, followed by one of her dodge mechanics from Crystallize. This is future Lycona coming in. I wanted to pause the guide here for a moment because of the way this entire fight behaves with the orders of mechanics. I didn't even realize this in all of my clear runs, but it wasn't until I looked at the runs more closely that it became sort of apparent. Each mechanic by itself is the same, but the order in which these mechanics are both a bit random and telegraphed by her weapons. How my brain worked in the fight was just to react to when the mechanics come up, and that totally works fine. But just note that in your runs, these green lines or the chakrams at the edges will appear depending on if she has the mage staff or the chakrams out. These two big mechanics can appear in different orders, and we'll go over each of them in the guide, but just to let you know, the mechanics might not appear in the correct order that the guide explains, but how to handle those mechanics will be the same every time. So let's get back to the guide. Magos' Radiance's or Mousa's Scorn will come up next, depending on which weapon she had out for the last mechanic, either the party-wide AoE or the tank stack buster. Next up, Hydaelyn will put the ice element on her, which is a spread mechanic, and she'll cast Parhelic Circle, where she'll put down all of these green lines on the stage. You'll want to avoid these lines as she'll throw out light balls that explode at the end of these lines. The ice element will go off as soon as those light balls explode, so spread your party out. Then she'll cast either a side or front back mechanic, and then one of her mechanics from Crystallize. Then she'll cast Parhelion, where she'll throw out a set of 3 chakrams to the edge of the stage, and then they'll fly back through the stage in a hot minute. So let's go over how to deal with this mechanic. AoEs will appear on the ground, and you want to position your character in between the first 2 AoE indicators. Now, if you happen to get caught in a different spot, don't worry, after those first AoEs go off, you can then move your character to the correct spot. The chakrams will hang out at the edge of the stage, while Hydaelyn puts up a water element on her, which means that we'll have to split the party into our healer groups. We have 1 healer at the front and 1 healer at the back, and usually we adjust a bit here because we have the melees up front and the ranged DPS at the back. When the first set of chakrams fly back through the stage, we always dodge towards that direction. So all you have to look out for is which chakrams go out first, and then dodge towards that side. After that, she'll throw out her side or front or back AoE, so dodge appropriately. One of her Crystallize mechanics comes out, and in this case it was the plus AoE. Radiant Halo comes out next, which is a raid-wide AoE, and then she'll cast Lightwave. This time, there will be many light waves that spawn around the outside of the stage, and there's only one corner that is the safe spot. There's not really an easy way to tell where the safe spot is, so you kinda have to draw lines in your head with the light waves, and then find the one open space that the light waves won't cross. But since the light waves travel really slow, there's plenty of time to identify the safe corner. Once you're in that safe corner, a multi-hit stack marker will appear on the party, so heal up accordingly. Then, the tanks will get a tank stack marker, and everyone else will get a small AoE around them. So you have to spread out. But there's a catch. You have to spread out to the side where there is no light wave coming through. You'll be able to spot this with the light wave patterns that appear. There's just no easy way to spread out for this mechanic, so we have the tanks stay, the melee DPS stay a little bit closer, while the range and the healers move a little bit further away. There's not really a lot of space, but just remember you can overlap your AoE markers quite a bit, just to give everyone a bit more room. Once all those AoEs go off, come back into the middle immediately, as new light waves that spawn will travel through the edges of the stage. She'll then cast Crystallize again, and you've seen all the mechanics from this, so dodge everything that comes out properly. We also use Boss Relative at this point because Hydaelyn could be all over the place depending on where the safe spot was. Soon after that, she'll then repeat the last Lightwave mechanic where you have to go to the corner to dodge the Lightwaves, the party will get a multi-hit stack marker, then the tanks will get their stack tank buster, and the party will get their own AoEs, so spread out and then come back to the middle. A few more crystallized mechanics come out with all the elements and the dodge to the sides and the front and backs, and if your DPS was solid, congratulations on your clear. We never saw Enrage with this fight, but I'm sure it's out there somewhere. And I'm sure for the rest of the fight, you've already seen all the mechanics before, so it should be no big deal. And I found this fight to be pretty straightforward and easy to pick up. I think one of the most challenging things about it is adapting to the different mechanics that come up at different times, rather than having a set rotation. It keeps you on your toes, and I find that kind of fun, and I also think it makes better players. But all in all, I hope this guide has helped you and your friends get your clears. I'd like to thank everyone in our raid group and our FC for helping out, and I'd like to thank all of you guys out there for helping to support me and making these guides so we can help a lot more folks get their clears. So until next time, keep on adventuring.
And then groups.
I Venn diagrammed.
Naturally.
Oh, lies. Well,
You're a bard. How did you get
Lycona!
You said out. You didn't say anything about the other thing.
Hold your shit.
Okay.
Oh, there it goes. Goodbye, buffs. See you next time.
What?
Have a great time.
What have you done?
Tasty ad face.
It's all gone.
fucking rip divination? I fucking used the Lord as well. Spread, but do the weapon thing first. So it's crisscross, then spread.
Yeah. I'll hold raise.
That's not a spread.
Oh, that was a stack. No, sorry.
Oh, was it a stack?
Sorry. Rain, salt water.